One of the most important, yet unfortunately one of the most neglected parts of life is reading. There are reports I pulled today that show around 40% of the UK have not read a book in the last 12 months or so, with only 50% of people in the UK choosing to read regularly. That means around 60% of people currently occupying the UK do not read at all. Which, I'll be honest, guys, I think is a really concerning statistic. Ever since I was in school, I always found the art of the written word and storytelling to be wildly fascinating to me and highly intellectually engaging. I'm aware now that in an attention economy and the world of social media, technology, and streaming platforms, that people's attention span has naturally diminished. I'm extremely guilty of this myself. I don't read anywhere near as many books as I once did. However, it's something I feel that no matter what type of person you are, engaging with different forms of literature is not only a really effective way to engage your brain and self-educate yourself, but a really wonderful way of expanding one's imagination and vocabulary. Whether that's just socially or in the workplace or just crafting a really well professional written email. You know, it can make you more articulate in the way you converse with people day to day, and just can be an amazing gateway to creativity too. So I thought it might be quite fun and interesting today just to list off just 7 of some of my favourite books I've read over the years, which I hope inspires some of you to consider picking up a book again. So let's dive straight in. Heavier Than Heaven, Charles R. Cross. Heavier Than Heaven is the story of Kurt Cobain, from the depths of poverty into stratospheric wealth and fame. It traces his trajectory from growing up as a shy kid just outside of Seattle to becoming the lead singer of Nirvana. It was one of the first pieces of literature I read while in secondary school, and one I deeply connected with growing up. You really feel like you get to know who this person was. So whether you're a musician or an artist or just somebody who likes Nirvana, the book does a wonderful job of giving you a really close-up, personal and clear window into who this person was behind the music and how he was wired. Next up, The Last Escape, written by Mike Lynch and Ken Widner. So for those who aren't familiar with this epic and true American tale, this has to be the best escape story that's ever been pulled off. So bear with me for a moment, guys, and let me just quickly set the scene for you. On a dark and foggy summer's evening, on June 11th of 1962, situated in the middle of the San Francisco Bay on Alcatraz Island, 3 prisoners all serving time together by the names of John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, and Frank Morris quietly slipped through holes they carved out at the back of their sails, climbed up a utility corridor, and through a ventilation shaft leading to the roof. Then shimmied down a drain pipe on the blind side of the prison guard tower. From here, they scaled the prison yard barbed wire fence and then descending to the water's edge. where they launched a makeshift raft stitched together by 50 raincoats they had stolen from inside the prison. They then vanished into the dark waters of the San Francisco Bay and were never seen again. So, in this re-examination of the escape, it spins the story in a way that's never been told before, which is getting to the hearts of who these guys really were, and enables you as a reader to connect the dots and to understand how they were able to pull off this really ambitious, impossible escape. So the Anglin brothers' nephew, along with his wildly talented co-writer Mike Lynch, wonderfully present compelling evidence that the three escapees did in fact survive and eventually made their way to Brazil, where they married and had children. So there's even a 1975 photograph of the brothers in Brazil that is included in the book, and you can find anywhere out there on the internet, which has been verified by 7 different agencies, and it's overcome all challenges to its authenticity by doubters. I mean, honestly, guys, I was so captivated by this story that I actually ended up becoming a featured guest on the official Alcatraz Escape podcast out in San Francisco, which, if any of you are interested in hearing about all the details of the escape and where the escapees went next, I highly advise you to watch the episode, which I've dropped a link in the comments below. So there it is, The Last Escape, Alcatraz. Next up, Women by Charles Bukowski. I think it's safe to say, we all love the idea of the starving, tortured artist who suffers for the art, lives outside the rules of society, and answers to nobody but themselves. Charles Bukowski was the perfect example of this. You know, the writer, the poet, the alcoholic, the literary underdog of the 1960s LA underground scene. Bukowski wouldn't find recognition as a professional writer until well into his 50s, and was eventually discovered by LA publisher John Martin in 1969. He was offered a once-in-a-lifetime deal. Stay at his nice and steady job at the post office, or take a leap of faith and get paid just $100 a month to become a full-time writer. Well, it's safe to say Bukowski took Martin's offer and decided to quit his job at the post office. His epitaph reads, "Don't try." And part of his charm, he was completely unapologetically himself, both in his writing and as a person. Complete authenticity, for better or worse. A lot of what people admire about Bukowski's story is how such a down-and-out degenerate, with all the cards stacked against him, managed to beat the odds and reach success. A true underdog, you could say. However, I see Bukowski's success story a little differently. For me, what I think makes him so important and inspirational to so many people is not so much what he became, but who he already was when he was nothing. That even when he was broke and struggling, he was still able to write about his experiences honestly and so interestingly. And this book is where Bukowski really lives up to that, I think. You know, he turns these really boring, extremely ordinary day-to-day experiences into something really wild and interesting to read. And if you're a writer watching this, or a creator, I think the book presents a really important question without knowing it, which is, can you write about your own life in the same way? Which nicely leads me into my next recommendation. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. So Pressfield talks in the book, he has a reference where he says, it's not the writing part that's hard. What's hard is sitting down to write. What keeps us from sitting down is resistance. This is a book I absolutely get behind everybody to read. Whether you're a writer, musician, an architect, or a construction worker, I don't think it matters. It's a very short book that explores the notion of resistance. We all wrestle with the blank page from time to time. Me certainly more than most, I'm sure. Resistance is something we all face or struggle with, but it's usually not a sign of a personal flaw in oneself, but more a universal one, I think. It happens from the moment we open our eyes in the morning, starting as simple as when our alarm goes off, and instead of jumping straight out of bed, we hit the snooze button. It's an invisible pull. An invisible pull within us. We sometimes do not even know is there. Like, studies suggest that people are so afraid of pursuing something they want that's hard, they will instead often prefer to live a life of suffering in a job they despise for years and years. They will often suffer in a job they despise for years and years, other than actually get down and pursue the thing that they actually want. So, just to fire off some quick examples of scenarios in life that are often a trapdoor for resistance. It could be committing to a healthy diet, failing to use that gym membership you signed up for 3 months ago, always researching the thing you want to be doing, or planning the thing you want to be doing, or thinking about the thing you want to be doing, but never actually doing the thing you want to be doing. Another one is always buying new things, like things that distract you from important life tasks. Instant gratification, basically. Or for something more personal for somebody like me, if you're a musician, failing to finish new songs you started, or getting on stage and performing, that's another big trapdoor for resistance. But specifically in terms of creativity, the magic portal and the muse is actually something Pressfield believes can be accessed by choice. If you defeat the ego and overcome the resistance. It's kind of a regular confrontation you have to overcome. And by doing so, and forcing yourself to sit at the blank page regularly and getting out of your own way, regardless of how you feel, is how you become a professional at your craft. At the end of the day, the way I put it is, the best way he describes it is really getting out of your own way. You know, you're not your feelings. We're not our feelings. You know, it's the small actions you take daily, which is kind of what puts you on the path to greatness long term. I talk about this before, it's kind of a slow burn in some ways. But The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield. Up next, Magicians of the Gods by Graham Hancock. Anybody that's into history, philosophy, or Egypt's pyramids of Giza, especially, will really dig this, as it confirms just how little we actually know about how the Great Pyramids were actually constructed. I mean, honestly, what do we really know? You know, Hancock makes this wonderful argument that a technically sophisticated human advanced civilization existed in the Ice Age. But around the Younger Dryas was completely wiped out and lost, only leaving a few survivors who helped seed later ancient civilizations. He believes the survivors of this event basically passed on the knowledge and resources from the culture which was lost, later evolving into the construction of the pyramids and the Sphinx. This is also based on microscopic traces, erosion patterns on the Sphinx, which is known now to be consistent with heavy rainfall, along with the discoverery of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which was back in 1996, I think. But yeah, basically, like, to summarize, anyone that's not familiar with the Younger Dryas, it was a comet event that basically happened around 12,000 years ago. You know, archaeology and ancient history from Egyptians and historians and stuff like that, they've always told us that it's always been known that the pyramids of the Sphinx, they believe, were constructed around 4,500 years ago, where after reading The Magician of the Gods by Hancock, along with doing my own research online, if you look into it, there's actually just as much research that indicates the Sphinx and the pyramids could have been constructed way further back in time than that, back to around 12,000 years ago, and basically was a result of the Younger Dryas comet event. But anyways, go and check it out. You know, if you're into philosophy as well and stuff like that, it's a great read. So Magicians of the Gods, Graham Hancock. Sorry guys, I'm keeping it quite loose today. I'm kind of improvising this, so hang in with me if this feels a bit long. I appreciate it if you've made it this far. But we've only got 2 left to go now, so we're almost done. Yes Man by Danny Wallace. This is a wonderful true story that follows a year in the life of the writer Danny Wallace, who after recently becoming single was descending into loneliness and isolation, until one day when a stranger on a London bus advised to Danny, say yes more. And for anybody who needs their faith restored in humanity right now, I mean, I know I do on some days, or even if you're just looking for something light to read with a happy ending, Yes Man is one I highly recommend. I liked it so much, I even had it signed by the man himself, who apparently thinks I'm pretty goddamn lovely and awesome. So Yes Man, Danny Wallace. Next one we have, and the final one, number 7, is A Stranger in the Woods, Michael Finkel. So this true story follows 20-year-old Christopher Knight, who in 1986 left his home, drove into the wilderness, left his keys in the ignition, and disappeared into thin air. I mean, this is such an immersive, visceral, and atmospheric experience, guys. Like, that is probably the best example of a book that really does send your imagination running wild, to the point where the experience of reading this tale led me to writing what I still believe is the best song I've ever written. And I read this book now over 8 years ago, in which I've written tons and hundreds of songs. But what I was able to get out of me onto the blank page, let's say, I still think today might have been my best work. And it's because of, I think, this book. But more importantly, the book leaves you in a place that asks, I think, fundamental questions about solitude, and what makes for a good life. So highly recommend A Stranger in the Woods, Michael Finkel. So I'm just going to leave this now, guys. I'm going to leave you with this. If you do want to read more books, but find yourself struggling to focus, just know it's never too late. And you can get your attention back. And you should want your attention back. Because the longer your attention span, the more effective you'll be. Let me rephrase that, guys. The longer your attention span, the more effective you'll be at creative tasks, problem solving, and also communicating with others, I believe. So, with that said, I will end this video with a couple of suggestions on how you can regain your attention span again. So, number one, digital detox time blocks. That's digital detox time blocks, which basically means put your flipping phone away. Just put it away. This could be an hour, 2 hours, or an entire day. Whatever you can manage, but find some time in your weekly schedule to switch off your phone and just check out for a moment. You know, take a walk or meet a friend for an hour. Because what I do now is when I wake up first thing in the morning, my phone is on airplane mode and out of sight in my desk drawer for the first hour of my day. I bought last year just a cheap £8 I bought a cheap analog Amazon £8 clock as my alarm wake up call. And I just use that now in the mornings. So my phone is in a drawer for the first hour of the day. And in this time, I'll drink some water, go outside and get some fresh air with my morning coffee before I even think about switching my phone on and checking it. Number two, and the final one, create a quiet space for yourself in the corner of a room. So something that's just yours and that you associate with your time to read and focus. Lock in. That's all I got for you guys. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed some of this story today and found it insightful. Remember, it's a time to read, and you can hold me to this. If you guys have got any suggestions on books I should be reading or anything that helps you just dial in and focus, please drop a little comment down below. And please like and subscribe. I've got plenty more of this shit to come. I hope you're having an epic Easter weekend, yo. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.